The journey begins in the quiet village where I was born. Life was simple. The mornings were greeted with the soft chirping of birds, the afternoons were filled with the laughter of children, and the evenings were graced by the serene glow of the setting sun. My father was a fisherman, a man of few words, yet rich in wisdom. From him, I learned the value of patience, the power of silence, and the importance of listening to the whispers of nature. My mother, on the other hand, was a healer. She knew the secrets of the earth, the hidden power of roots, herbs, and plants. She taught me the art of healing, not just the body, but also the mind and spirit. She would often say, "The body is a reflection of the mind, and the mind a mirror of the soul. To heal one, you must heal all." As a child, I was restless. I had dreams that extended beyond the horizon, visions of lands I had never seen, and questions that seemed to have no answers. My father sensed this in me and encouraged my curiosity, while my mother nurtured my spirit, teaching me to balance my dreams with the reality of the present. One evening, as the sky turned shades of purple and gold, my father took me to the shore. We sat in silence, watching the waves crash against the rocks. After a long pause, he spoke, "Son, the sea is vast, but it is not infinite. It has its boundaries, just as we do. The power of the sea lies not in its size, but in its ability to move and change. We are like the sea. Our strength lies not in our physical form, but in our ability to adapt, to move with the currents of life." These words would stay with me for years to come, guiding me through the many challenges that lay ahead. As I grew older, my thirst for knowledge led me to distant lands. I studied under great teachers, learned from scholars and sages, and experienced the world in ways I could never have imagined. But no matter where I went or what I learned, my father's words always echoed in my mind. In my travels, I encountered people from all walks of life. Some were driven by power, others by wealth, and many by fear. I saw how the mind, when not aligned with the spirit, could lead to suffering, confusion, and despair. I began to understand the true meaning of my mother's teachings. The mind, body, and spirit are not separate entities but interconnected parts of a whole. To truly master one's life, one must learn to harmonize all three. In a bustling city, far from the simplicity of my village, I met a man who had achieved great success. He was wealthy, respected, and powerful, yet there was an emptiness in his eyes, a sadness he could not hide. He confided in me one night, admitting that despite all his achievements, he felt lost and unfulfilled. His mind was constantly racing, his body weary, and his spirit crushed under the weight of expectations. It was then that I realized the importance of balance. No amount of wealth or power could bring peace if the mind and spirit were not at ease. I shared with him the wisdom of my parents, the lessons of the sea, and the healing powers of the earth. Slowly, he began to understand. He started to meditate, to listen to his body, and to nurture his spirit. Over time, he found a sense of peace he had never known before. His success no longer defined him. Instead, it became a tool for helping others, a way to give back to the world. This was the beginning of my journey as a teacher. I returned to my village, carrying with me the knowledge I had gained and the wisdom I had acquired. But I was not the same person who had left years ago. I had seen the world, experienced its beauty and its pain, and learned that true power lies not in what we possess, but in who we are. The path of mastery. Back in the village, I began to share what I had learned. People came to me seeking advice, not just on matters of the mind, but of the heart and soul as well. I taught them the importance of self-awareness, the practice of mindfulness, and the power of meditation. But more than that, I taught them to listen to their bodies, their thoughts, and their emotions. For it is in listening that we truly understand ourselves. One day, a young woman came to me, distraught and anxious. She had been struggling with feelings of inadequacy, constantly comparing herself to others, and feeling as though she could never measure up. She was consumed by doubt, and it had begun to affect her health. Her body was tense, her mind restless, and her spirit heavy with sadness. I took her to the river that ran through our village. We sat by the water, listening to the gentle flow of the current. The river, I told her, does not compare itself to the trees or the mountains. It simply flows, finding its path, embracing its journey. You must be like the river. Stop comparing yourself to others. Your journey is your own, and it is beautiful in its uniqueness. She began to cry, releasing the burden she had carried for so long. We spent many days by the river, meditating, breathing, and learning to let go. Slowly, she began to heal. Her body relaxed, her mind calmed, and her spirit began to shine. She discovered a sense of self-worth that was not tied to the opinions of others, but rooted in her own inner strength. This was just one of many stories. Over the years, I have seen countless people transform their lives by aligning their mind, body, and spirit. I have seen the sick heal, the anxious find peace, and the lost discover their purpose. And through these experiences, I have learned that true mastery is not about control, but about harmony. There was a time when I too believed that power lay in control, in the ability to dominate, to achieve, to succeed. But life has taught me otherwise. Real power comes from within. It is the ability to remain centered in the midst of chaos, to find peace in the storm, and to move forward with clarity and purpose, no matter the circumstances. I remember a particularly challenging time in my life. I had taken on the responsibility of leading our village during a time of great uncertainty. There were external threats, internal conflicts, and a sense of fear that pervaded the community. I was overwhelmed, and for the first time in many years, I felt lost. One night, as I sat alone by the fire, my father's words came back to me. The sea is vast, but it is not infinite. It has its boundaries, just as we do. I realized that I had been trying to control everything, to solve every problem, and to carry the weight of the village on my shoulders. But I was only one man. I needed to accept my limitations and trust in the strength of the community. The next day, I gathered the village leaders and shared my concerns. We worked together, each bringing our strengths to the table, and slowly, we began to find solutions. The threats were managed, the conflicts resolved, and the fear gradually dissipated. It was a humbling experience, one that reminded me that true power is shared, not hoarded. This lesson is one I now pass on to others. The mind is a powerful tool, but it is only one part of who we are. When we align the mind with the body and spirit, we tap into a deeper source of strength, one that allows us to face life's challenges with grace and resilience. The body is a temple. As my teachings spread, more people came to me, not just from our village, but from far and wide. They sought guidance on how to live a balanced life, how to find peace in a world full of turmoil, and how to heal from the wounds of the past. One of the most common issues I encountered was the disconnect between the mind and the body. Many people live their lives trapped in their minds, constantly thinking, planning, and worrying, while neglecting their physical health. They forget that the body is the vessel that carries them through life, and when the body is neglected, the mind suffers as well. I remember a man who came to me, exhausted and worn. He was a successful businessman, always on the go, never stopping to rest. His mind was sharp, but his body was failing him. He was constantly sick, plagued by headaches, back pain, and insomnia. He had tried every remedy, seen countless doctors, but nothing seemed to help. I asked him to spend a week with me, away from his work and his responsibilities. Reluctantly, he agreed. For the first few days, he was restless, unable to sit still, his mind racing with thoughts of everything he needed to do. But I encouraged him to be patient, to allow himself to slow down, to breathe. We spent our days walking in the forest, practicing yoga, and meditating by the river. Slowly, he began to relax. His breathing became deeper, his muscles loosened, and he started to sleep through the night. By the end of the week, he looked like a different man. The tension in his face had softened, and there was a lightness in his step that hadn't been there before. He thanked me, saying that he hadn't realized how disconnected he had been from his own body. He had been living in his mind, pushing his body to the brink, and it had taken a toll on his health. He vowed to make changes, to listen to his body, and to take care of himself in a way he never had before. This experience reinforced what I had always known: the body is a temple. It is the physical manifestation of our being, and it deserves to be treated with respect and care. When we neglect our bodies, we create imbalances that affect not just our physical health, but our mental and emotional well-being as well. I began to incorporate more physical practices into my teachings, emphasizing the importance of movement, nutrition, and rest. I taught people how to listen to their bodies, to recognize the signals it sends, and to respond with kindness and compassion. I showed them that the body is not an obstacle to be overcome, but a partner to be embraced. Through these teachings, I have seen remarkable transformations. People who were once plagued by illness and fatigue have regained their vitality. Those who struggled with anxiety and depression have found a sense of calm and stability. And many have discovered a newfound appreciation for their bodies, realizing that true health is not just about the absence of disease, but the presence of balance and harmony, the power of the spirit. As the years went by, my understanding of the mind-body connection deepened, and I began to explore the spiritual aspect of our existence. I had always known that the spirit was an essential part of who we are, but it was only through my own experiences that I truly understood its power. There was a time in my life when I faced a great loss. Someone I loved deeply passed away, leaving a void in my heart that I did not know how to fill. I was consumed by grief, and for the first time in my life, I felt truly powerless. No amount of meditation, no physical practice, could ease the pain I felt. In my despair, I retreated to a place of solitude, deep in the mountains where I could be alone with my thoughts. For days, I sat in silence, struggling to make sense of the pain, searching for answers that never came. I felt disconnected from everything I had ever known, lost in a sea of sorrow. It was during this time that I had a profound spiritual experience. One night, as I sat by a fire, I felt a presence, something beyond the physical, beyond the mind. It was as if a light had entered the darkness, illuminating the path that I could not see. In that moment, I realized that I was not alone. The spirit of my loved one was with me, not in a physical sense, but in a way that transcended the boundaries of life and death. This experience changed me. It taught me that the spirit is eternal, that it is the essence of who we are, and that it connects us to something greater than ourselves. I understood then that the mind and body are tools, vessels through which the spirit expresses itself. When we align our mind and body with our spirit, we tap into a source of power that is limitless. I returned to the village with a renewed sense of purpose. I began to teach not just the importance of the mind and body, but the power of the spirit as well. I showed people how to connect with their inner selves, to listen to their intuition, and to trust in the guidance of their spirit. There was a man in the village who had always been skeptical of spiritual matters. He was a practical man, grounded in the material world, and he struggled with the concept of the spirit. But he was also a man of great curiosity, and he wanted to understand. One day, I took him to a quiet spot in the forest, far from the noise and distractions of daily life. We sat in silence, listening to the sounds of nature, and I asked him to close his eyes and focus on his breath. At first, he resisted, his mind racing with thoughts, but gradually, he began to relax. As he breathed, I guided him through a meditation, asking him to visualize a light within his heart, a light that represented his spirit. I told him to imagine this light growing brighter with each breath, filling his entire being with warmth and peace. He was silent for a long time, lost in the experience. When he finally opened his eyes, there were tears streaming down his face. He told me that he had felt something he could not explain, a presence within him that he had never acknowledged before. It was as if he had discovered a part of himself that had been hidden away, waiting to be found. This man, once a skeptic, became one of my most dedicated students. He began to meditate daily, to connect with his spirit, and to live his life with a sense of purpose and clarity he had never known before. He told me that his life had changed in ways he could never have imagined, and he thanked me for showing him the way. But it was not me who had shown him the way. It was his own spirit, guiding him back to himself, reminding him of the power that lies within each of us. The journey continues. Now, as I sit here, reflecting on the many years that have passed, I am filled with a sense of gratitude. My life has been a journey, one of learning, growing, and discovering the deeper truths of our existence. I have seen the power of the mind, the resilience of the body, and the boundless strength of the spirit. I have come to understand that life is not about achieving perfection, but about finding balance. It is about recognizing the interconnectedness of all things, and embracing the wholeness of our being. The mind, body, and spirit are not separate entities, but parts of a greater whole, each influencing and shaping the other. As I continue to teach, I am reminded every day of the importance of this balance. I see it in the eyes of my students, in the way they walk, speak, and live their lives. They are on their own journeys, each unique, each filled with challenges and triumphs. And I am honored to be a part of their path, to share with them the wisdom that has been passed down to me. But my journey is not over. There is still much to learn, much to experience, and much to teach. I know that I will continue to grow, to evolve, and to deepen my understanding of the mysteries of life. And so, I leave you with this final thought: life is a journey, not a destination. It is a path that we walk every day, guided by our mind, body, and spirit. And as we walk this path, let us do so with grace, with humility, and with a deep appreciation for the beauty of the world around us. Remember, the power to shape your life lies within you. It is in your thoughts, your actions, and your spirit. Embrace this power, and use it to create a life of balance, harmony, and peace. And as you continue on your journey, know that you are never alone. The Spirit is always with you, guiding you, supporting you, and helping you to find your way. Trust in this, and you will discover the true power that lies within. This is the wisdom that I have gained in my life, and it is the wisdom that I now share with you. May it guide you on your journey, and help you to live a life of purpose, joy, and fulfillment.